This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 1788, Previews.
Laser beams, opinions like the seasons on everything you read in comics, movies, games, toys, artists, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek, uniting the world's mightiest heroes. This is...
I'm Ian Levinstein.
I'm Shane Kelly.
I'm Adam Murdo.
And I'm Chris Everly.
Tried to roll my R's as much as possible on the.
Ian, I was in awe of that. That was approaching pants levels there.
Why, thank you, sir.
It's great.
Like a vocal drum roll.
But of course, is there any other way to do it?
Little Inspector Clouseau popped in there for a second too.
Oui, oui.
Oh, well, c'est bon. Zut alors.
And welcome one and all to the Goofy Show, as I'm sure we'll be loopy as usual. But we get started with previews. It's previews catalog number 385 for books coming out mostly in the month of December 2020. Oh my God, we're finally in December of 2020 when it comes to releases. This year is almost over.
Yeah, that just means next year could be worse.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I just
Shane's head is in the right place there.
I just
cautiously optimistic.
I'll be cautiously optimistic and hope that 2021 is a little bit less of a trash fire than 2020 was. I'm just saying, man. But on a brighter note, comics. And of course, as usual, we begin with Image. And Chris, methinks that you will be starting things off with this one.
Yep, let's just stand back and give him some room to drool.
Murd, you know me well, brother. Well, for me, there's only one book that matters in this catalog this month.
Mm-hmm.
And it is on page 32. It is by the modern masters, to borrow tomorrow's phrase, the Dream Team. Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips, and his son Jacob Phillips. A new OGN from their world of crime noir, Reckless, which in this case apparently focuses on the 1980s Los Angeles, and the main character is actually a heroic figure, as much as a heroic figure can be in the world of Brubaker and Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
But I, as Murd said, I effusively drool with praise whenever I talk about this creative team, because a lot of the books I used to enjoy when I was younger, or ongoing monthly titles, I don't enjoy as much anymore. But anytime these guys do anything, I am born again in comics. Like this. This is the stuff.
Now,
right?
I have to say, when I saw the picture on page 31, my first gut thought was, we're doing a comic about the crocodile hunter? And then I turned the page and went, oh, wait, never mind.
Oh, Christ.
God, Shane, you're right. Wow.
Yeah. That was my first thought. No disrespect. I watched his show when I could. I enjoyed it. I just thought, wow, that's really weird for a comic. Oh wait, no, that's not it. Never mind.
You're not wrong, my friend. You are not wrong.
Let me just read the opening copy. So Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, the modern masters of crime noir, bring us the last thing anyone expected from them: a good guy. A bold new series of original graphic novels with 3 books releasing over the next year. Each a full-length story that stands on its own.
Yep. And just the use of shadow alone in these preview pages just gets me so jazzed, because like nobody paints a prettier picture than the combo of the Phillips. You know, they get it right and they get it done.
Ian, well said. Yeah, I mean, so much of crime noir is about, like you said, atmosphere and shadows, and you know, a lot of times people obviously are not what they seem, and these creators have just mastered this genre. I mean, to me, this is as good as any crime novel you're going to read when it comes to their work.
Yep.
I mean, I rank them way up there with any great crime noir. I keep saying crime noir, whether it's film or on the page. This stuff is a masterclass.
Well, and I like the idea of an OGN. I've been happy with the DC Earth 1 OGNs. I like some of the Marvel ones when they come out. Like, I enjoy the format of an OGN.
Me too, honey.
Yep. Well,
I've drooled enough.
I'll drool a little bit immediately afterwards because on page 36 we have Post Americana, number 1 of a 6-issue miniseries, which I will certainly be picking up in trade, whether it be digitally or on my shelf, because it's written by Steve Scroce, and he's also co-artist with the one and only Dave Stewart.
Wow. And
I'd forgotten that Scroce was the co-creator of We Stand on Guard, which I enjoyed a great deal when it came out. And now here he is, mostly on art duties with Dave Stewart on colors, and the picture that they're painting here, the Cheyenne Mountain installation. Immediately they had me there because as a Stargate fan, you mentioned Cheyenne Mountain, and I'm immediately intrigued. AKA the Bubble is the most sophisticated super bunker in the world. It was built to ensure the survival of America's executive branch of government and its most important citizens should the unthinkable happen. And when the world ended, the executive branch failed to reach the sanctuary, but the elite citizenry did. And this is 8 years later.
80 years later.
80 years later. About 80 years. You're right. You're correct. 80 years later. And one of these people has named themselves President of the United States. And we go from there. And just some of the silliness on the first couple of pages of this, especially, I'm the goddamn night terror. And that's Don.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, personally, I think I'd rather read The Adventures of the Goddamn Night Terror and Don the Werewolf.
You're not wrong, and I hope there's plenty of flashbacks. But I love the art so much, and
the art's great.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what this is going to be like.
Scroce's the traits that made his art enjoyable in the late 90s have survived, and he's refined them. So he's definitely grown as an artist since we first knew him back in things like Amazing Spider-Man and X-Man back in the day. Right. So yeah, the artwork is looking very choice. I agree.
Mm-hmm. But I also like, as it just goes with these preview pages, and I mean this very much in a good way, it has the vibe of 1980s nuclear wasteland type motif comics. Like if you remember back to 80s comics, like the grim and gritty, the dystopian stuff, all of that. I just get that from these pages, and that's reassuring.
Yeah. Especially, I've been in a Mad Max mood lately, and I'll probably wind up rewatching Fury Road sometime soon, especially with the news coming out of the Furiosa prequel movie that's now in the works. But I like
with Tom Hardy.
No, they haven't mentioned anything about Tom Hardy because this is going to be a prequel set a couple of years ago. To the point where even I think every actor and actress is going to be different for this one. But we'll see, who's actually going to be involved. But I think Chris Hemsworth is going to be in this new Mad Max movie called The Wasteland. So we'll see how that turns out.
What else we got in Image here, gentlemen, that you want to shout out?
Well, just continuing in sequence here, the very next thing on page 40. It's called Homesick Pilots. And it's about a teenage punk rock musician in 1994 who is, for reasons unspecified, driving a haunted house mecca across the California countryside in a story that's described as Power Rangers meets The Shining.
Wow.
Intriguing.
I mean, both of those things are things that I enjoy, so I may have to check it out.
National treasures.
Yep, indeed. I can roll down to page 47 as the first trade paperback of Stealth is being released. And I was interested about this when we discussed it on previous previews. This collects the first 6 issues of that. Yet again, Image seems to be charging full price for this one. as it's a Skybound trade, as I did notice that the price was $16.99 for this first trade, as opposed to the usual. I think they just may have stopped that practice altogether, because looking at a bunch
Maybe
of...
they can't afford. Maybe they can't maintain it.
That is very possible. This day and age, I think you need to get as much money as you can out of people,
Yeah.
and I get it. But this is all about the hero Stealth, who's waged war on crime in Detroit. Now he's taken it too far, but only one person knows the reason behind this change in Stealth, and the fact that he's an older man battling Alzheimer's. That says a lot right there. And the character was created by Robert Kirkman and Mark Silvestri, and this was written by Mike Costa with art by Nate Belgardi and Tamara Bonvillain, the best name in comics. Looking forward to checking that out.
Shane, how about you? Anything jump out at you for Image?
Not at the moment. Most of the stuff I was interested in, we mentioned. The Skyward trade interests me, or the hardback. It's on page 48.
Yep.
Collects all 15 issues.
Nice.
And on the page opposite that, Ian, I did want to call your attention to that Texas Blood Volume 1. That trade is $9.99.
Ah.
The first 6 issues.
There we go. Good pointing it out, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just so you be reassured, Image is still doing it. They're just not doing it as much.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I guess they're just picking and choosing what they think is probably going to sell the best.
I remember now fondly. Way back during my retailing period, when Image would price trades like that, I could not keep them in stock.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I must have sold. I don't know how many Why the Last Man volumes won.
Sure.
How many Walking Dead volumes won. I mean, it was a great idea.
Oh, yeah.
Really
I believe
could help
that.
to bring in new readers for certain titles.
Yeah. It kept me going for sure. I mean, it got me to actually try things, and if I liked them enough, then I would continue to read them past that.
I have nothing till the end, so whatever you guys want to shout about Image, please feel free.
I do want to point out, because I think I'm going to have to... I've heard nothing but positive things from those who did get to read Department of Truth #1. So I'm going to have to track that down digitally and give it a shot, as number 4 was solicited this month on page 59. And I think that's going to be worth my time. It's James Tynion IV, so of course it is. But I was waiting to see what people's responses were, as were you, Chris, if I remember correctly, when we discussed the first issue. And I've heard very positive things about it so far.
Well, then I'll try to pursue it myself.
Mm-hmm.
He's an excellent writer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, when you read the copy, I mean, it sounds so timely. How can a journalist ethically report on a story that they know can't possibly be true? So,
Sure.
I mean, the theme alone, is my interest is piqued.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think that's pretty much it from Image for me, as everything else is kind of ongoing at the moment.
Yeah.
Same here.
I just wanted to mention, because I got my shipment, a few days last weekend, and I got in Stillwater number 1 by Zadarsky and Perez, Ramon K. Perez.
Yep.
I'll talk about this more in our next comic talk, but first issue was outstanding, really well done.
Nice.
And this as a writer, I mean, he's already a talented artist, but as a writer, this guy, right now, he just can't be stopped. So I'll get into that more next time. But
Good to hear. I think
really wet my whistle.
To tease our next comic talk as well, I think by the time we do our next comic talk, whether it be next week or the week after, I'm going to do my best to have read the first 6 issues of his Daredevil run, because I need to check it out, and I need to see how I'm going to feel about it. So
all right, Ian, I'm going to make a virtual blood pact with you right now.
Yep.
Because I've been remiss in that I have not read any of this Daredevil run too. So I will make every effort to read 1 through 6 as well, so you and I can collaborate.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
We are now symbolically and virtually clasping forearms. So. Unite the clans! All right, let's go.
All right, over to Dark Horse.
Yes.
I jumped to page 76. I know that I have many friends who are into Critical Role, and we have a new miniseries based on their adventures. Critical Role is a huge Dungeons & Dragons podcast, episodic podcast, and Critical Role Vox Machina Origins 3, number 1 of 6, comes out this month. Matthew Mercer, writer, Jody Hauser also writing, and Olivia Sampson on art. And this continues the episodic comic book adventures of Critical Role, the D&D series, just with a little bit more visuals attached to them than sitting there watching them play the game.
All right.
Yep.
Ian, as always, we appreciate you bringing in these aspects that the rest of us are not well versed in.
My pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Very next page as well, Legend of Korra, the Art of the Animated Series, Book 1, hardcover and deluxe hardcover edition, being solicited on page 78. I loved Legends of Korra when I watched it, and this is the art behind said animated series at Book 1 Air, specifically, the first season. And this reprints all of that just in time for the anniversary of the series. The series was as well just added to Netflix. So if you have not actually sat down and watched Legend of Korra or Avatar: The Last Airbender for that matter, they're both sitting there waiting for you on streaming right now.
And that's something I was going to say. I have not watched either of them, but I know plenty of people that love them. So I want to dive in there and watch them, see what I think of them.
You will 100% love it, Shane. I'm 100% positive.
Yeah, it sure seems it.
Yep. But by the time you're done, I mean, it's not a spoiler to say so, by the time you're done with Avatar, I know you well enough where you're going to be humming Secret Tunnel, Secret Tunnel, once you get to that specific episode.
I'm struck on page 83. I don't know anything about this graphic novel, but the cover is so striking.
I was just there with you, sir. Yep.
Yeah, wow. Post York, the trade paperback.
Yeah.
This is Eisner nominated one shot, now in a graphic novel form. The polar ice caps have melted and New York City is flooded beyond recognition. Independent loner, along with his cat and only friend, struggles to live another day in this makeshift community, populated by outsiders like himself, while the depraved elite thrive ruthlessly on the outskirts. I mean, the cover has such an Eisner quality to it. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That is fantastic artwork.
Yep. And shockingly, as a man who's currently sitting in the Bronx, I am interested in this New York tale.
Ian, we always appreciate how you wear your love for your hometown on your sleeve.
Mm-hmm. And I will mention on page 86, it's no longer exclusive to Comixology, as the 2020 Eisner Award winner for Best Digital Series makes it onto the published page. And I love this series 100%. Afterlift. Chip Zdarsky, Jason Liu. It's a chase adventure done in interesting and new ways, and this collects the 5 issues that were originally digital in one in-person trade paperback in your hand.
Is the series still going on now?
Not as of now. I think it was one and done, but they could easily go back to it.
Well, your recommendation combined with the writer, I'm in immediately on this.
Oh yeah.
This found its way onto your slate of nominees for Best of 2019, didn't it, Ian?
It sure as heck did, Murd. Yep, it was my surprise hit, and I did not see it coming, and I loved every minute of it.
Loving every minute of it.
Whoa.
Just so the audience doesn't know, like Shane's, and I mean this is a good way, is losing it a little bit tonight. I'm really enjoying it.
Oh yeah.
So, continue, sir.
Loosey goosey, Shaney Waney.
Loving every minute of it.
This is what happens when Shane's leading into a long weekend for himself.
That's right.
He's ready to roll, and whatever comes to his mind, he's got to sit back and relax.
Fancy free.
You know it.
And when he came on camera for the recording, he had this disco destro in front of the camera, like he was just he was reveling in his moment.
I've got my Chateau Picard sweatshirt on.
Anything else for Dark Horse Brothers?
I am drawn to page 95, which is volume 2 of some original comic adventures of Cuphead, which is a series of video games done in the good old-fashioned 1930s style of anime. It's like inspired by old Of Iwerks cartoons, basically.
Yep.
And it's the video games are lovingly crafted and meant to resemble to the extent possible, one of those old cartoons, but one in which the player has control over certain characters. And it's about the adventures of Cuphead, who is a little anthropomorphic guy who has a teacup for a head, and his friends Mugman and Ms. Chalice. And it looks like they're having some spooky adventures with a skull-headed engineer, a possessed train, some ghosts. Yeah, it's just looks like good fun. And it's written by Zach Keller, art by Sean Dickinson, colors by Lauren Affa, whose work I've admired on certain things. She colored for Valiant a bunch of years ago. And I don't know how I missed the first volume, but I think I may just toss the second one into my cart.
Yeah, good call there, Murd. I've always loved the art style of the game itself, and it translates over to the page form very well. All right, I got page 98 as the complete Emily the Strange, all things strange. I've never read Emily the Strange, and I know a bunch of people who love it. And this collects all three volumes of it into one collection. And it's a pretty cheap price for 3 trades.
Yeah. That's not bad at all.
Yeah, only $29.99 before any sort of discount.
Yeah.
So maybe worth checking out just to get the complete story of Emily the Strange. I think that's it for Dark Horse for me.
Me too.
I'll just mention page 100. Those of you who have younger readers on your Christmas shopping list, we've got hardcover comic adaptations of a couple of Disney animated films. Beauty and the Beast. I think that one actually dates back to the Marvel days because it's written by Bobby Weiss, penciled by Colleen Doran, inks by Dave Hunt.
Great artist.
And we've also got an adaptation of Tangled by more European-sounding writers and artists, Alessandro Ferrari, Cristina Giorgili, etc. Yeah, that's something to consider as stocking stuffers.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm always curious how well a CGI rendered animation is going to transfer over to the page, and Tangled in particular looks like they do a pretty good job of that.
Yeah, they do.
Yep. All right.
I always enjoy those translations of movies into storybooks or comics.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Next stop, DC Connect issue 5.
All right.
And we begin with a good one right out of the gate. And I swear eventually I will catch up on Tom King's Batman. Eventually I will. It's not happening tomorrow. It's not happening Tuesday. It's not happening probably in at least 2 or 3 months, but it will happen. And
it's not happening this decade in my case.
Exactly.
That is one I did complete. I finished Tom King's run on Batman.
Nice. Yes.
Nice. Well, you can go ahead and read more of that run, essentially, with Batman Catwoman #1 on page 2.
That I
remember when we found out that, some of the outrage we felt when we found out King was being was no longer going to be on the book. But then there was the salve knowing that, all right, they were at least letting him, I'm assuming, kind of finish his Batman Catwoman story.
Yeah.
Which was at the heart of his entire run.
Oh, absolutely.
And then when it didn't come out, I'm like, oh, come on, it's got to come out.
No, I'm really excited about this.
Yes, DC's not going to let any Batman project languish forever. Certainly not one with this creative team.
Oh, sure. That's true. Yeah, I think it may have gotten delayed a little bit by the pandemic, which is why it didn't come out quite when they expected it to. But here we are with issue 1, and my oh my, that cover by Clayman, gorgeous.
Yep.
Yeah.
By the way, Shane, is Selena in a version of her old purple costume?
Somewhat, yes.
Yeah, it looks like it.
It's not quite that classic purple costume, but it's pretty close from what I've seen.
It almost looks like a cross between the purple costume and her Earth 2 costume.
Yeah, it could be. I was even thinking of that first black costume that I think showed up in Hush maybe a little bit before that.
I remember that. Yep.
All right.
It just seems like a good mesh between a couple.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And I didn't realize this. I'm just looking at some of the preview stuff. This story is also going to involve the Phantasm.
Yes, I did hear that. I was quite excited about that. There was a picture I think Tom put up somewhere.
Yep. And
I forgot about that, but I did see it.
And for any of you who have not watched Mask of the Phantasm, it is probably, if not my favorite Batman movie, it's easily in the top 2. And
I mean, one could easily argue it's the best Batman movie.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So,
Yep.
I don't think I've seen it since it was in theaters. Matt and I and our parents went to see it. But I know I have a VHS copy of it sitting on my coffee table at home in Pennsylvania. This is the perfect excuse to pop that in.
So Adam, let me ask, where did you see it? Do you remember?
I'm pretty sure it was at Fairground Square. That sticks in my mind because in those days we almost never went to see movies at that theater.
Yep. Okay. So do you remember what day you saw it?
Well, it was over 20 years ago, so no, Shane, I'm afraid I don't. It was sometime in December.
Yep. I can remember seeing it, and you're right. It was at Fairgrounds. I lived still down in the Pottstown, Boyertown area. And Fairgrounds was the only theater in I can't tell you how many mile radius. No theater had it. Drove up here the day after Christmas and saw it in the theater in the middle of the afternoon.
That probably explains why we went to Fairgrounds to see it. Now, thanks for that insight, Shane.
Yep.
Nobody else in the area was taking this full-length animated feature seriously. More's the pity.
And I'm talking about there was nothing in King of Prussia that I could have found. Pottstown didn't have it. I don't remember if Allentown did or not, but when I found out Reading had it, I just went there.
Yeah, I forget exactly when I saw it for the first time. It may have even been on TV, to be honest. But I now own a Blu-ray copy and a Vudu digital copy. And little did I know, almost immediately after I purchased said things, it's now available on Netflix for anybody who has a Netflix subscription. So that's a great way to watch it if you want to bone up on your Phantasm history before she shows up in the comics.
Yeah, and other than a couple, I think, animated comic appearances, they've never really used Phantasm at all.
You're right. Yeah.
Well, Mr. King is going to change that, Shane. He's going to rectify.
Yeah.
I remember her showing up in the epilogue episode of Justice League Unlimited.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so the next couple of pages are all devoted to Endless Winter. For the most part, after Batman Black and White, which does look fascinating, but it's kind of a return to old form with Batman Black and White, which is nice to see. But it's 9 issues this Endless Winter.
9 issues, holy cow!
Yeah, and it's a combo of one-shots and actual ongoing series, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
What is the premise of this?
It's cold.
Yeah, that's part of it. A big bad called King Frost emerges from the former site of Superman's Fortress of Solitude up in the Arctic. He's an ancient being, probably like an Asgardian frost giant kind of thing. He once fought an ancient analog to the Justice League, kind of riffing on the Avengers 1 million BC thing, but not quite as long ago. The writers, who are Ron Mars and Andy Lanning, interesting team up there.
Yeah.
A bit of Brave and the Bold. They describe this team as like Justice League Viking. It consists of Hippolyta, the Viking Prince, that era's version of Swamp Thing, and Black Adam. And so King Frost fought them and was defeated by them. And he comes back now and he's gunning for, I guess, the modern day equivalent of that team of champions, which would be the Justice League. And we've got 9 issues of him going up against them in cold weather.
Well, I've always enjoyed Ron Mars's work.
Oh yeah, same here. I mean, Ron Mars, wrote my Green Lantern essentially.
Sure.
I mean,
sure.
His Kyle is legendary for me.
I'm just a little less than thrilled about one-shot series.
I agree.
9-part story coming out in the course of a single month.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a lot for a person's fourth quarter budget.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you what. I'm not going to pick it up, but look at the cover for Superman Endless Winter Special number 1 on page 14.
It's beautiful. Yep.
Gorgeous Francis Manapul cover. And I mean, I would almost buy it on that alone. And the fact that the interiors are by Phil Hester and Andy Parks.
Yeah.
Like, that may be the one shot that I wind up picking up from this thing. Beautiful. But the very next page, by the way, I swore Aquaman was canceled.
Yeah, I thought
So
that
did
too.
I thought it was too.
Yeah,
I guess they zombified it so it could take part in this crossover.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I love when Murd gets cynical about comics.
Happening more and more often, Chris. I'm sorry. It's a function of aging. We can all relate, I'm sure.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
definitely fun.
They also yet again tease me with a Mike McCone cover, even though he's not doing the interior.
Ah, Mike McCone.
Love it.
I have because I used to, the inker Mark McKenna, he was a customer in my store, and he used to live near me, so I would go to his studio sometimes. And he worked a lot with Mike McCone.
Oh, nice.
So, Ian, you should have seen some of the pages he had.
Ooh.
Stuff from Exiles, for example.
Ah, yes.
And they worked together on a very, Murd will probably remember this, a very brief DC series, Shane probably would too, called Vexed.
Oh, sure.
Oh, right.
Still have it. 8 issues,
Yeah.
something like 8, 6, 7,
Yeah,
8,
very
9
short.
issues.
Um,
Should have been longer.
Yeah, it was really fun. But there's a page Mark sold to me, him and McCone, where Superman is trying to show Vexed, who's I think he's like a minor god or something.
Mhm. The god of mishap.
God,
Yep.
yeah, that's right. He's trying to show Vexed how to properly use and jiggle a toilet. I cherish it, and there's word balloons.
That reminds me of teaching the Beyonder how to use the bathroom.
Yes, that's right. McCone is a great penciler. Oh,
Now, I'm excited on page 21, Generation Shattered. What a great group of heroes on that cover.
Yep. And look at that Batman costume.
Yeah.
This is Purple Gloves Batman. This is 1939 Golden Age Earth 2 Batman. Teaming up with Heroic Sinestro, like 1990s Reign of the Supermen Steel, Post 52 Booster Gold, Kamandi, Kimi Yohoshi, the female doctor. It's really great, eclectic group there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's written by Dan Jurgens, Andy Schmidt, and Rob Venditti. And it's 80 pages for $10, but I'm definitely suckered into this. $10 or no $10.
Oh,
this looks, same here.
It's going to be the upshot of just everything that's been going on in like Dark Knight's metal or death metal. It looks like it's another rethinking or restructuring of DC reality. This has been teased for months. It's yet another thing that's delayed by the coronavirus and other factors. And this Crisis Kid is totally on board.
Well, I was going to say that we'll be discussing on our next Comic Talk episode the news that came out of DC Comics today, which is essentially what probably would have been the next generation DC Comics thing that was teased as 5G at one point.
Right.
DC Future State. We'll have to get further into that on our next episode, as nothing's solicited in this previews, but it will be upcoming.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll say is what I read of it. Somebody described it, an article described it as similar to Convergence.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, so I don't have to go all in on it. I might be able to. I might pick up a couple things here, but
yeah,
I'll wait for it to come up on the app later.
Sure.
So similar to Convergence in its total lack of ramifications for.
I think so. I think it's just a bridge to get from where we are to what they're planning next. That's how I read it.
But as we remember, Murd, it didn't quite have no ramifications, because without Convergence, we wouldn't have gotten our Superman back.
That's true. That's true.
So this could easily have no ramifications except for one character.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd kind of forgotten that our Superman showing up again was an outcome of Convergence.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we'll take him back any way we can get him.
Exactly.
That's right.
Murd, I'd like to lighten your mood on page 28.
Okay, I'm still scrolling down through a lot of Dark Knight's death metal stuff, and there is quite a bit of it.
Yes, there is.
I'm looking at DC's Very Merry Multiverse, issue 1.
Joy to the world, all 52 of them. All right, yeah, just the very fact that we've got the Love Syndicate of Dream World on the cover, among all the other interesting characters. And we're promised a story in which Ragman learns the true meaning of Saturnalia.
I'm so in.
President Superman attempts to figure out how Bizarro stole. What do you want to bet that that parallel Earth version of Bizarro looks like Donald Trump?
I would not be surprised.
Political statement.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, that's another $9.99 book that I don't think I'm going to be able to resist. Oh, December.
Oh
Yeah.
Yep. On a couple of pages before that, I'll point out two quick things, again, multiverse related. Death Metal, The Last 52, War of the Multiverses #1. Essentially part of the conclusion of Death Metal here. The convergence of characters on that cover alone has me very interested.
Yeah.
But then the next page, Dark Knight's Death Metal #7. Look at that beautiful Capullo cover of the two Wonder Women in hand embrace. Beautiful image.
It really is. It really is breathtaking.
Mm-hmm.
Ian, I thought of you. Well, I think of you often, but in this particular case, I know your love of Young Justice.
Yep.
We've got a spinoff here.
Yeah.
Page 29, Ginny Hex special #1.
And not only is it a special, but it's also by Mags Visaggio, one of my favorite writers of the moment. She gets to take her take on a new DC character, and maybe this will spin out if enough people are into this. Maybe that'll spin out into her own ongoing series. But it's nice to see the character not just disappearing.
Right. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Murd, this is your month. Look at it.
You're not kidding.
Yep. Yeah, this is another store. Fortunately, this one's only $5.99. But yeah, it's another one of these Tales from the Dark Multiverse what-if type deals that DC's been doing. This one's going to be written by Steve Orlando with art by Mike Perkins. And it's Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Crisis on Infinite Earths. And it's basically going to be telling us what would have happened if Earth 2 Superman and, Earth 2 in general, what would have happened if Crisis had ended the way Earth 2 Superman would have liked it to end, with Earth 2 being used as the template for the post-Crisis Earth. It's going to give us a glimpse of the kind of revised post-Crisis reality that Superman of Earth 2 and his friends were trying to create in Infinite Crisis. And it looks like it's not going to work out too well for anybody involved. It kind of looks Alan Scott is about to do a human sacrifice of Jay Garrick. And it's Steve Orlando, who, as I've said before, has got a pretty strong command of all the dark, dusty corners of DC history and its stranger denizens. And I trust him to turn in a good story here in this one shot.
Oh, yeah.
And we've also got a couple of pages down, a Tale of the Dark Multiverse take on War of the Gods. This is on page 32. This is an early 90s story, a crossover that went pretty badly off the rails back in the early. I mentioned it in our Spotlight on Shazam and the Copper Age episode.
Yep.
And this is writer Vita Ayala and artist Ariel Olivetti telling us what would have happened if it had gone even worse than it did when it was first published in 1990.
I feel like Tales of the Multiverse, the entire line could be subtitled "Tits Up."
Good old Ian.
All right, what else we got here? Another gorgeous cover on Wonder Woman #769 on page 40.
Yep.
Oh, man.
And I keep scanning through the descriptions, and when it says Max Lord, I'm like, all right, it's on the list.
Nice. How about page 47? Nubia, Real One. The Return of Nubia. Nubia has always been a little bit different. As a baby, she showcased Amazon-like strength by pushing over a tree to rescue her neighbor's cat. But despite her having similar abilities, the world has no problem telling her that she's no Wonder Woman. And even if she were, they wouldn't want her. This is L.L. McKinney, art by Robin Smith. Love the look of the art. It's very, very descriptive and facial expressions I'm really appreciating. Looks like it could be a good one.
We talked about Tom King doing Rorschach, right?
We did.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm really looking forward to the first issue.
Yeah.
Redundant here to an ad nauseous degree. I mean, I've yet to read something by Tom for the most part that I haven't just absolutely adored. And what he's doing right now in Strange Adventures, the Adam Strange, is so thrilling. Just the way he takes these characters and without sacrificing their history and their essence, just turns them on their heads and it forces you to look at them in ways that sometimes are very uncomfortable. It's tremendous stuff.
Sure. Absolutely. Page 49 and 50.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these Superman books, Action Comics and Superman, talk about being the creative team's last issue.
Yes.
Now, Bendis is staying on, or is he getting off?
He is getting off.
Okay.
It was essentially a giant swerve, big shock. That Bendis was, sticking on, but no, it turns out he's actually leaving. Apparently for something that he couldn't pass up. I do not know what that means. I hope it's not just Batman, because that would be too easy. I'm hoping that there's something even bigger in his future, whether it be Justice League or whether it be something else. I'm hoping they're not switching him from Superman to Batman, because that's again, it just seems like too easy.
Well, I hope the same. I just thought, again, like you said, it was a big swerve, because I thought, didn't we just talk about him leaving and then no, he's staying, and now all of a sudden looking at this going, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, he's apparently doing it for a good reason, but considering how many of his books have been canceled over the past couple of, or ended over the past couple of months, he must have something huge on the horizon. Because
that's what I wondered too, because it seemed odd if he was staying to have so many of his books ending.
Agreed. Yep. But how about right before that? Look at this Flash Facts trade paperback, curated by Mayim Bialik.
That looks fun.
Yeah, that looks like a lot of fun, and I think one of the pages might be by the artist of Regular Show. Just looking at the science class one, that certainly looks like Regular Show-esque art. So huge bunch of creators on there, and just looks like a fun, unique trade
really
paperback.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and we were watching an episode of Big Bang Theory or something, and my youngest one said, wait a minute, you said she was really a doctor, right? And I said, yeah, she has her PhD. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. Said she did Blossom, she did this, and I showed him some clips of Blossom, and then she did Big Bang Theory. But in between all that, she got her PhD.
Yes, she did.
So she actually knows what she's talking about.
Mm-hmm. Murd, this one's for you. Green Lantern Season 2, number 10 on page 60. The battle between Hal Jordan's Earth 11 counterpart and our Hal Jordan begins.
All right, and Earth 11, I believe, is the gender-swapped reality. So I'm guessing that one of the Green Lanterns we're seeing out there is actually a male Carol Ferris.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, probably.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Yep, well, I'm reading all of, or buying all of Grant Morrison's The Green Lantern. So yeah, definitely down for the Ultra War as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Murd, I look forward to that time bumble many years hence finding its way through the stream to our ears.
It's just making its way to you across the gulf of space and time. A radio broadcast finding its way to Omicron Persei 8.
Good news, everyone.
I am My hands are huge.
We shall gather by the water cooler and discuss things.
Also, the grand I was going to say the grand experiment is over. Dick Grayson's back to being Dick Grayson.
Thank God.
No more Rick.
I love when Shane gets outraged.
As soon as that happened, I'm like, nope. And I haven't read a single Nightwing since. I don't know. I won't say I don't care if it's not good. I'm sure if it's good, I would read it. If I come across it again on the app later, maybe I'll read some of them. But I really had no interest when they announced it. That just made no sense to me.
Anybody mind if I jump to trades or any more of the floppies he wants to talk about?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think that's it. There's a heck of a lot of trades.
Yeah, there's a couple things I wanted to point out. They're doing an omnibus of the New 52 Batgirl run.
Yep.
Started by Gail Simone. I only read, I think, the first issue of this. How was the series? Did you read the whole thing, Shane?
I did not read the whole thing. I do have the whole thing, but what I read of it, I really enjoyed. I thought it was very well done.
That's what I heard. I usually enjoy her writing, so I just didn't know
Yeah.
if anybody had read that. I also wanted to point out, because I always love this story. I haven't read it in a long time, but on page, it's hard to read the page numbers on my screen here, 71, Batman, the Chalice. Chuck Dixon, I know some people have sort of a controversial take on him because of comments he's made and whatnot, but I've always enjoyed his writing. I really enjoyed his run on Nightwing. He's done some good war comics, things like that. But this was a really fun miniseries he did many years ago. And the art by John Van Fleet is absolutely breathtaking. It's a fully painted story. It involves Ra's al Ghul, Catwoman, the Penguin. So it's basically a Holy Grail hunt, sort of. It's really fun.
Interesting.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Murd, on page 73, Crisis on Multiple Earths, Book 1, Crossing Over trade paperback.
Yep, I believe this is actually a new printing of something that DC did quite some time ago.
That's what I was going to ask. See if anybody knew if it was. It seemed like it was to me, too.
I have 2 of the volumes sitting on my shelf right now, so I know that it's definitely existed before.
Okay.
That's a great Dave Gibbons cover. Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Not quite as nice as the Alex Ross cover that graced the original version, though.
Yeah.
Granted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Page 75, what I almost consider to be a failed experiment, even though I feel like they never really gave it enough due. The Earth 1 box set collects Volume 1 of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman of the Earth 1 DC series of hardcovers. I really enjoyed the premise of Earth 1, and DC just never really seemed to give it the enough time of day. The Green Lantern one came out not too long ago, and I've heard very positive things about it, but it's just kind of always been to the wayside, and it could have been something huge if they really wanted it to be.
Yeah, I think they did drop the ball on it a little bit. I have every volume. I've read everything except Green Lantern, the second Wonder Woman, and I think there's a Teen Titans one I didn't read.
Yep.
But all the other ones I've read, and I've enjoyed all of them thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish that they would have put forth some effort to, I don't know, every other month, once a quarter, something, so that 2 to 4 of them were coming out every year without hesitation.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It just didn't work quite that way.
Yeah, it's really what I thought what they were going to do, Shane, and then it just never happened.
Yep.
I wanted to point out on page 82, they're doing a deluxe edition hardcover. This has been reprinted before, but it's very important. The Manhunter series by Archie Goodwin and Walter Simonson. This is classic stuff. It's 1970 work by early in Simonson's career.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend this.
You skipped over page 79, the Justice League International Book 2. Come on, we've
Shane,
never seen that.
I was debating whether or not, in the interest of time, should I bring it up, because even though you probably have every conceivable version of these trades that are in existence in this reality and any other reality, you go for it, sir. I don't want to steal your thunder.
Well, hey, if you haven't picked it up by now, here's another chance. Do it. It's a load of fun.
Talking about a trade that I don't think I've ever seen collected before, and it really should have been if it wasn't, my favorite era of Kyle Rayner Green Lantern and the beginning of it. Page 76, Green Lantern Circle of Fire trade paperback. Essentially the beginning of Judd Winnick's run, along with Brian K. Vaughan, Jay Farber, and Scott Beatty. Art by Darryl Banks, M.D. Bright, Dale Eaglesham, Carrie Nord, Pete Woods, and a whole bunch of others. This really cemented for me easily some of the best stuff outside of Ron Marz stuff, because Ron Marz was always excellent with the character. But one of my favorite runs, which then led to the Ion stuff, and it was the return of the Green Lantern Corps. It was such great Kyle Rayner storytelling, and it all began here. So Green Lantern Circle of Fire, for those of you who haven't read it.
Anything else for DC? I have something way at the end I want to mention.
For fans of Bronze Age transploitation, and we know who we are, on page 85, we have Richard Dragon Kung Fu Fighter, The Coming of the Dragon hardcover. This is pretty much every Bronze Age 1970s appearance of Richard Dragon, all 18 issues of his ongoing series, and an appearance in Brave and the Bold, and another in DC Comics Presents. It's entirely written by Denny O'Neil, it looks like, with art by various, including some art by Kirby, Starlin, Wally Wood, etc. And it includes, among other things, the first appearance of Lady Shiva. So
Nice.
Murd, great pick. I totally missed that. Well done.
Certainly. Thank you.
Thanks, boy chick.
For Superman lovers, let's see, we've got Grant Morrison's New 52 Action Comics run, collected in omnibus form, hardcover on page 87. Also, the Shali Fish backups, which I thought were good stuff at the time, of art by various, including Rags Morales and Andy Kubert. And right below that, on page 88, this is probably the trade that interested me the most in this DC previews. It's a hardcover collection of Denny O'Neil's attempted early 70s Superman revamp. He did such a good job with Batman that DC decided to let him try the Man of Steel as well. Didn't work quite as well, but judge the results for yourself by picking up this hardcover. It's written by O'Neill with art by the legendary Swanderson team of Kurt Swan and Murphy Anderson under that iconic cover by Neil Adams. No
This
more.
is classic Bronze Age Superman.
Absolutely.
Do they depower him a bit in these stories?
Yes, they cut his power down to about it's some kind of weird nuclear explosion was used as the excuse for this, but it rendered all kryptonite on Earth inert, and it also sapped Superman's strength to about 1/3 of its original level. But 1/3 of infinity is still pretty much.
Yeah, pretty good.
And his power levels just kind of gradually ratcheted themselves back up to their original planet juggling glory after Denny O'Neil left the book.
I wanted to point out for Ian, on 93, they got Young Justice Volumes 2 and 3.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm glad they're bringing them out in rapid succession here. I really hope
'cause
there's
I wanna
more.
get 'em.
Yeah, I know.
It was such a good story. Such a good book.
I really hope there's more on the horizon one way or the other, whether it be Bendis returning to it at some point or somebody else. They're just the best damn kid characters outside of old school Teen Titans for me. So it's great stuff.
Never was I so happy to jump on that way back when it first premiered and stick with it all the way through. And then so excited when this new series came out.
Absolutely. Yep.
I wanted to point. Go ahead, Ian. I'm sorry.
You're probably pointing out the same thing that I'm pointing out, so go right ahead.
The Sandman audiobook.
Indeed.
Yes. Okay. So, I mean, I heard about they did this radio drama. I didn't realize everybody was in the cast.
Oh, it's fantastic cast.
I mean, I knew about James McAvoy, but my God.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Wow.
They got everybody they could get for this.
It adopts volumes 1 through 3 of the graphic novel series.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, and nobody's heard this yet, right?
No, but it's right up my alley. I have to acquire it.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to giving it a listen to, and it's either going to be in this version or next time there's a discount on Audible, I might sign up for a few months.
With Gaiman himself as the narrator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. And beyond that, I can appreciate, since there's no more DC Direct, at least they're toting a lot of wares from Sideshow. I don't get hardly anything from Sideshow anymore. It's just it's great stuff. It's just really expensive.
Yeah.
Well, you have certain G.I. Joe priorities right now.
All right, over to IDW.
So, is ready for IDW?
Let's do it.
Sure.
Yep. And page 110, we'll start right there. Going back to the year I was born, Transformers 84, Secret and Lies. Returning to the original Transformers comic universe. Wowzers. That's something right there. Bringing it back to the beginning and continuing that as if it was the next story in the series. Very cool.
So this is picking up for the Marvel series, essentially?
Indeed.
Wow.
Yep.
Shane, you haven't said how much you love 1984 yet as a year of your life.
I was just thinking I was 12. The 80s. There never was such a good decade.
One,
Depends
then
on
I
your
was
perspective,
I was 0.1, then I was 0.2, then I was 0.3. You get the idea.
Murd, are you still reading the My Little Pony comics?
Absolutely. I think I've still got a complete run.
So what is this Shadow Play? Is this it's a graphic novel?
Well, it's actually an adaptation of a couple of stories, a couple episodes of the actual cartoon show.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, the writers credited there, Josh Haber, Nicole DeBuc, and Justin Heisinger. They were all writers on the show.
You know, whenever I turn and I see Usagi Yojimbo, I hear Deemer's voice in my head in that loving but majestically scolding tone. Like, how on earth haven't I read this book yet? Because I got to get on board here, man. I'm really deficient because I've heard nothing. I mean, he raves about this book.
You and me both.
And I've never read one issue of it.
No, neither. Well, I have read a couple specials or spotlights, but never the regular series. Jump back to page 123, though.
Yeah.
And read that description for Star Wars Adventures number 4. Join the Wookiees of Kashyyyk for part 1 of a special Life Day celebration.
My fist is raised in triumph.
Being released in December.
Yep.
And going back even one page further, even though that's the most amazing thing ever, and there's also a Lego Star Wars special coming out on Disney Plus, which is bound to be hilarious. Greg Rucka and Alec Worley on Star Wars Adventures Smuggler's Run number 1 of 2.
Egad, Ian, I totally missed that.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yep, this is an adaptation of a young adult novel that Rucka wrote and released a little while ago.
Yeah, I think it has to do with the Disney ride Smuggler's Run.
Yep. Yeah.
Like that's what it came out
I don't
from.
care if it's Han Solo's grocery list. It's Greg Rucka, man. That's
Heck yeah. And right on top of that, by the way, the Phantom Menace graphic novel adaptation. I'm surprised that hasn't happened already.
I'm sure it has, just maybe not in this current form.
Sure.
Yeah, I remember that. But let's talk about something good for a change, though. So, page 128. We talk about this periodically. I have to keep mentioning it. The covers to Star Trek Year 5
So good.
are so breathtaking.
Yep.
God, they are amazing. I mean, I haven't read the series at all, but I really should, because if the stories are half as good as these covers,
Agreed.
wow.
Yep. Yeah. And I've heard some pretty, in general, positive things about pretty much every Star Trek comic that's been coming out lately, whether it be Deep Space Nine or the original stuff. Like,
Well, yeah, the Deep Space Nine miniseries I'm reading right now, I mentioned this thing last time, is sensational. It feels so much like the show. It's so
I
well
have to
done.
read that at some point.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Yep.
You'll love it, Shane.
Page 131.
Snow Job.
Now, I'm not up on current G.I. Joe comics at all, but I love that cover. Snow Job was the very first G.I. Joe action figure I ever bought. It was from a Lane Co. in the Allentown area.
Oh, I love when Shane does his history.
And it is still sitting. It is still sitting on my shelf, right to my right. I can smack it, sitting in the Polar Battle Bear.
Oh, he's got the Battle Bear.
Oh yeah,
nice.
one of my favorite vehicles.
Comics, Shane, is issue 11 when they introduce Snow Job, and they're fighting the Cobra Troopers near the Arctic, wherever they are.
Yep.
Such a great action issue.
Yep.
In the Revenge of Cobra, that's why he brings along his glacier sleds.
Sorry, we were just waxing rhapsodic here.
Oh no, please. That's what I love the most. Page 137. I'll wait for it to be collected, but it's Van Lente, it's Dunleavy, it's Comic Book History of Animation number 2 of 5. It's gonna make one heck of a volume once it's complete. Yep.
It's a great cover.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else for IDW Brothers?
Looks like Marvel it is.
Just so you know, bear with me for Marvel, because for some silly reason I forgot to order the Marvel catalog, so I'm going off the DC.
I wanted to check that because I also did not get it, and I can't imagine I didn't order it.
I just assumed I forgot it.
It's possible, yeah. It is possible that it somehow got lost in the shuffle or one way or the other. But I am looking at it online right now, and the Marvel catalog begins with a preview, like a full like 4-page preview of King in Black #1, and that's
they can show me as many pages of that as they want. I'm still not buying in.
It's gorgeous Stegman art. I'll give him that. But yeah, it's I don't know, not my thing.
What issue is this supposed to be?
You mean
it's from issue #1 of the King in Black miniseries?
No, I mean the Marvel previews.
Oh, Marvel previews. Got it.
It's
#4.
October for December 2020.
Right.
Yeah, I must not have ordered it. That's just bizarre.
Wow. Tremendous.
Yeah.
Well.
Well, we do get a symbiote Spider-Man King in Black series out of this for some reason, and that is more Peter David and it's Greg Land.
David, you talked about that last time. I can't wait to read that.
I know.
Yep.
I know. Even if it's Greg Land, I'll enjoy it.
Yeah, now that for you to say that is talk about real deference to Mr. David.
I'm sorry. I just and I know Greg Land has his fans. It's the posing. It's basically taking pinups and turning them into characters, and it has its place, but I've never been a fan.
Certainly fair.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're getting me with that one too.
Yep.
Yeah, there's actually a couple of tie-ins to this thing that I will probably be trying. They're taking this as an excuse to relaunch the Black Cat ongoing series that I've been liking so much.
Mm-hmm.
I just got notification from DCBS the other day that Black Cat #13 has been canceled. It's a shame. The superstitious tie-in marketing practically writes itself.
Sure.
But instead, they're just relaunching with #1 to tie into King in Black.
All right, fair enough.
And there's an Immortal Hulk King in Black tie-in on page 15.
One before that, Murd, King in Black, Iron Man, Doctor Doom, Christopher Cantwell on writing, Salvador LaRocca on art.
Oh,
Yep, this is the guy who's writing both the Doctor Doom and Iron Man ongoing series right now, so it's a perfect crossover opportunity.
Absolutely.
And Santa in his sleigh right above him.
Yeah, it's unexpected cameo there.
Mm-hmm.
And check it out on page 16 and 17. I'm wondering if some of these tie-ins, their connection to this King in Black event seems a little bit tenuous to me, as if these are things that were already slated to be done at some point, and Marvel's just kind of digging through their drawers and saying, okay, let's tie this into King in Black just to help us sell this thing.
Yeah.
But it's a mini-series called King in Black: Namor. 5 issues, written by Kurt Busiek. Art by Ben Dewey and Jonas Scharf. I get the feeling Busiek pitched a teen Namor series set in the 30s a while ago, and Marvel said, okay, well, you can do it, but can we use it to help sell this stupid symbiote god thing that we're going to be doing? And that's how we end up with King in Black Namor instead of just Namor.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, it's teen Namor along with teen Lady Dorma and teen Atuma having adventures in 1930s Marvel Universe in the oceans of that time. And there are Russian alchemists in 1930s Murmansk is part of it. It's Busiek, so it's going to be well rooted in Marvel history.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait. Murd, I'm totally on board with that one.
Yeah, anything with Busiek's byline on it, I'm happy to pick up these days.
Oh, sure.
And also,
you're probably I'm sorry. You're probably about to say the exact same thing I am anyway. So if you're talking about the very next page with the Union.
Yeah, that's actually the case, Ian. Thank you. Yes, it's the Paul Grist, British creator Paul Grist, who's brought us things such as Kane and Jack Staff and Mudman through Image. He's introducing a team of British heroes in the Marvel Universe. This was actually slated to premiere a long time ago, but then COVID happened. And I think this was originally slated to be a Empire tie-in, but just see how effortlessly they repurpose it to be a King in Black tie-in.
Sure.
fuels my theory here that the connection of these things to the crossover to which they're attached is tenuous at best.
Mm-hmm.
But doesn't matter. It's not the King in Black connection that interests me. It's the characters and it's the creator. It's got Union Jack in here and Lady Britannia and a few other presumably new characters. And I like Paul Grist's voice. It's a little bit offbeat. And I'm probably going to try this.
Yeah, I mean, I was a huge fan of Captain Britain and MI-13 back in the day, and
That's
and
superb series.
yeah, and
wow.
this feels like it could easily be the spiritual successor to that. So,
Amen.
Yep,
Me too.
yep. Got Eternals #2 out this month. Yet again, the team of Kieran Gillen and Issad Ribic. So, I mean, in like Flynn on this one, but
We'll be discussing that for sure.
oh yeah, Thanos versus Icarus in the second issue.
So you guys kind of have to shepherd us because I can't find this thing online. I'm just kind of.
Yeah, you know what? Hold on. Let me send you the link to it real quick.
Thanks, pal.
Yeah, no
'Cause the way DCB Service has it, it's not following the catalog specifically.
Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, I'll send you the same link that I downloaded for this for
Oh,
me. Let's see.
Isn't he swell, gang?
All right,
Gee,
incoming into chat.
I'm thinking Judd Hirsch on The Breakfast Club.
That's what I was thinking.
Life
Of.
great, Dad. Gee,
Isn't our
swell?
son he's swell? Once again, Ian is the signals officer for the CGS Brigade in the field.
It's what I do. And while you download that, I will mention, since we mentioned the first issue, I'll mention the second one here, because if there's going to be any sort of Wolverine, I want it to be black, white, and blood. And we get more of that in the second of 4 issues here of Vita Ayala, Chris Claremont, and Saladin Ahmed on writing, with Greg Land, Lou Roca, and Kev Walker on art. Darn. That looks like some good Wolverine fun.
As does the next page with MODOK's floating head. James 1 of 4.
Yep.
Co-written by Jordan Bloom and Patton Oswalt, who are showrunners on an upcoming MODOK cartoon.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It'll be available on Hulu pretty soon. They showed the first couple of clips at it at the online New York Comic Con this last weekend. So
they are. I thought they canceled all that with Howard the Duck and all those other cartoons. So they are doing MODOK.
It was already in production. Same thing with the Hellstrom that just came out, even though it had absolutely no promotion whatsoever. And
Hellstrom, what is that on?
It's on Hulu. It's gotten so reviews, but I probably will at least check out a few episodes.
Oh yeah.
Yep. On page 28 as well. You know what? If it was going to be anybody, it was going to be Marvel. We have ourselves our pandemic special, essentially.
Yeah.
Heroes at Home, Zeb Wells writing and Gurahiru on art of what happens when all the superheroes are stuck at home, essentially. And how they deal with
quarantine. It's going to be 80 pages of little Robot Chicken-style skits.
Yep.
About heroes and villains in quarantine. And Zeb Wells, having been a longtime staff writer for Robot Chicken, he's the guy to do this kind of project.
Absolutely.
I'm going to step back one more page from that, Ian, and mention that Al Ewing is writing a new Sword series.
Yes, I completely missed that. Thank you, Murd.
Yep, I probably wouldn't care too much if it were any other writer, but if Al Ewing is doing it, with art by Valerio Schiti, incidentally. I've just read up to, I'm reading Joss Whedon's Astonishing X-Men run right now, so I'm just Sword is being introduced. So it's nice to see another volume of Sword being offered to us, especially with such a quality creative team.
Funny enough, one of the reasons that I missed it is because for some reason the PDF does not have the page.
Yeah, that's what I was just trying to find. I'm like, wait, is mine out of order too? No.
Yeah, no, for some reason the PDF is completely missing those pages. It goes from like 28 to 31, and I have no idea why.
Yep.
Go figure.
As print saves the day.
Yep.
At least I'm not crazy.
All right, you now have email sent.
God, he's so sexy.
All right. Oh, please, behave.
Oh, Rexy, you're so sexy.
That is a great stupid movie.
Oh, that is a fantastic stupid movie. I love that movie.
Speaking of that, Shane, I had on last night. You talk about just the apotheosis of bad '80s films. Dream a Little Dream.
Oh, I love Dream a Little Dream.
That movie,
Oh.
I had to digest it. How the hell did they get Jason Robards,
Yep.
Piper Laurie, and Harry
Yep.
Dean Stanton to be in that film? Is
Yep.
it's breathtaking.
Yep.
Like these tremendous actors.
Fantastic.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Page 40. He's got one heck of a Marvel history, and it's time to celebrate his anniversary. The Chris Claremont Anniversary Special.
Yes.
Written by Chris Claremont, art by Brett Booth and Moore, cover by Salvador LaRocca, as 5 decades of Chris Claremont stories. Yep.
Well, that's
Yeah, that's nutso. I since I've been chronicling my adventures of listening to Jay and Miles explain the X-Men, I have now gotten to the 90s and the introduction of Bishop, so I am past the Claremont era finally in my listening.
You know what, Ian? I was thinking about this recently because I'm slowly reading and loving the Hickman X-Men, as I've gushed about before in this program. But when I think about the way Claremont, remember, he ended his run on X-Men 1, 2, and 3, right, of the new volume.
Yeah.
I mean, in that story, Magneto released an electromagnetic pulse
Yep.
that kills thousands of people all around the planet.
Yep.
And now they're just palling around with him.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
Boy, it's not going to end well.
yeah, and Aunt May's Island blew up a bunch of people. You know, I mean,
Sure did.
Ian, thanks for bringing me back down to earth there. I appreciate it.
nope, no, my pleasure, sir, my pleasure.
By the way, did you write the copy for the last Micro Spotlight?
I did, yes.
That was superb.
Thank you.
Like that hammerhead detail in the Spider-Mobile was my favorite. Well done.
Yes. My pleasure, sir. Page 43. Again, I've been pointing out covers, so I might as well again. That Pat Gleason cover of Amazing Spider-Man number 55.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. Wow.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Absolutely beautiful.
never seen anything like it.
Yeah. Superb.
Is anybody reading Spencer's Run? Because I have not read it.
I have not either yet.
Not yet, no. I you know what? Actually, I might have read the first like 2 or 3 issues, but since I'm behind on everything, I figured why not be behind on that too. Oh, I got one. Page 50.
Please.
Page 53. Howard Mackey. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider.
Yup. Return of Vengeance number 1.
That story, is it?
Yeah, and this is a return to that with Javier Saltaris on art, you know, this is I guess people have been waiting for this. I didn't know.
Well, let me say something. Howard Mackey, because as I'm sure many listeners know, there was a period of time where he was writing a ton of stuff for Marvel.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And he did some really good Spider-Man stories. You know, like we were talking before when we had Dan on about the return of Norman Osborn and all that. And, you know, some of that I still have mixed feelings about. But some of the stories Mackey did where he really explored just Norman Osborn, the viciousness and the evil and just his whole persona. There's some really good stuff in there.
Yeah.
I think I want to say that's the Peter Parker Spider-Man series, I believe.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Chris.
It's good. There's some good stuff in there.
Then he had some pre-JMS stuff that really went off the rails because I was reading Spider-Man at the time, you know, regularly, and that was when Mary Jane, quote unquote, died in a plane crash.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And of
Yeah,
course,
I was referring to those stories.
oh, I know. He when he was on, he was on, and when he was off, he was off.
So I'm sorry to say that I've again really just because of funds and time, I didn't stay with Aaron's Avengers, even though I was loving it.
Yeah.
And I'll have to try to get back to it because when I read the solicitations every month, the stories sound so exciting and so just in the keeping of just the grand epic sweep of the Avengers. I mean, here we have the Phoenix coming in, going back to his stories about, and Murd mentioned this earlier, about the primordial Avengers and all of that.
Yeah.
Variant cover by Arthur Adams. Takes you back to the X-Men of the 80s there.
Oh, sure. I'm just really hoping it's a non-mutant that becomes the Phoenix this time around because there have been too many mutants as the Phoenix.
Speaking of Busek again, I'm looking on page there's no page number. It's after the Avengers period. A Civil War Synopsis number 1.
58.
Letting again.
Yep, page 58 because 57 is right before that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Yeah, and Solid and Ahmed with Kurt Busiek on that one has me very interested.
Yep. Absolutely. And you mentioned Christopher Cantwell, that Iron Man Dr. Doom crossover. And there's a great history of Iron Man Dr. Doom crossovers that have sent them back to Arthurian times a couple times over the years.
Yep.
But Cantwell is doing just a great job on Dr. Doom. It's some of the best Dr. Doom stories I've read in a while. And the fact that he's also on Iron Man now, I got issue 1. I haven't read it yet. Just have to check that out. When we do our next comic talk, I'll give a field report on that.
Come on, the issue 4 teams him up with Hellcat. I mean, it has to be good.
Yep.
Some really cool covers of Immortal Hulk a few pages down.
Oh, yeah.
That first one is beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, I just got the latest trade because I'm reading the series in trade, volume 7. And speaking of Immortal Hulk, there's something coming down the pike about that series too. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
As Murd chuckles in the background.
Indeed. Speaking of Cantwell, slightly above that Immortal Hulk, he's also coming out with like a body horror-esque Fantastic Four miniseries called Road Trip. That cover is frightening. With the Fantastic Four falling apart, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah, on page 60. It's, man, that image is going to stick with me.
Yep. That's a little creepy.
Especially what's happening to Sue.
Oh, yeah, I know. And the conclusion of the Maestro miniseries, by the way. And now I get to read all 5 issues.
Yeah, I read issue 1. It was superb.
Excellent.
So good. Can't wait for Priest, U.S. Agent. It just hasn't come out yet, number 1, but really looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
You guys I have some trades to show you. You guys have any other single issues you want to talk about?
Not really that interested in the Sumerian, but there is a king-size Conan due out on pages 76 and 77 with quite a litany of quality creators in there. Roy Thomas, Kurt Busiek, Chris Claremont, Steve McNiven, and the first Marvel work by Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles' Kevin Eastman.
Wow.
Being crammed into the 64 pages of that one-shot.
Huh. Go figure.
I wanted to jump back to page 69. God. So Marvel number 3, the cover by Alex Ross of Power Man and Iron Fist in their element in the Marvel streets.
Oh, boy.
Moving through some shadowy, looks like a back alley tenements, and Iron Fist illuminating everything, with the Iron Fist. What a cover. That just screams, like it drips the 1980s, Shane. It drips the 1980s.
Sure does. It sure does.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
Hey, Murd, was the Juggernaut miniseries always a miniseries, or did that become a miniseries?
I think it was always planned as a miniseries.
Okay. All right.
That's how I remember it.
Got it. Yeah. Wasn't quite sure because I saw of 5 there and was confused there for a minute.
I'm glad actually Murd mentioned Conan because we have to forget, we shouldn't forget that the achievement Roy Thomas accomplished when he was able to convince Marvel to get the Conan license. And really, I mean, just the legacy of Conan in comics since then is really rich. Marvel's extensive catalog of the character, the fantastic work Dark Horse did. I'm going to mention something later on in the previews, another Conan thing they're doing. But I mean, I've always been a sucker for sword and sorcery, and when you have the right writer on Conan, they're really thrilling.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
But then you also have to think of Schwarzenegger.
No, it's not a tumor.
All right, I'm good for trades. If everybody else is.
Yeah, I'm good for trades.
All right.
And after that, I have to jump soon, but I'll shout out a few more things from the rest of the book, if I may.
Yep, sounds good. I'll do page 91 real quick, just because I have been wanting to read Tom Taylor's All New Wolverine for forever, because I have heard nothing but fun, exciting stories within, to the point where I know of a few people where this is their Wolverine. Like, Logan is Logan, but Laura is Wolverine to them now. I need to check this out one way or the other, whether it be in this volume or whether it be on Unlimited. I'm planning on starting that soon, and I will check in with you guys once I do.
Excellent.
Yep.
I wanted to point out, tying back to our last micro spotlight, Dan and I mentioned this. The Roger Stern run on Spider-Man from the 1980s is, for me, one of the great eras of the character. And I had this omnibus, but they're reissuing it, collecting the entire Stern run. A lot of that run was penciled by John Romita Jr. early in his career. And these are classics. I mean, if you love Spider-Man, what makes the character great, the essence of the character, you're going to find that in these stories. And it introduces one of Spider-Man's all-time great adversaries, the Hobgoblin. In fact, I'd like maybe sometime way down the road, I'd like to get Dan back on to talk about maybe a part of this arc.
Oh yeah,
these are fantastic.
Page 94. Thought of you, Chris, with the Marvel Masterworks Black Panther Volume 3 hardcover, with some Black Panther stuff by Peter B. Gillis and Don McGregor, which also means that there will be a digital copy of this available, which means even more of Don McGregor's run will be made available digitally, which makes me happy.
Yes, and this collects Marvel Comics Presents 13 through 37. I'm sure Shane fondly remembers that series from the 80s, Marvel's anthology series.
That one I actually don't. I didn't read that.
Oh, really? I figured you would read it. It's coming out. Shane,
Nope.
I'm remiss.
That's okay. Just something else that I can look up.
It's terrific. But this story, and I talked about this when we did our Black Panther Spotlight some years back. McGregor sends T'Challa into apartheid South Africa. And I'm looking at 2 pages of original art from that series in sequence that Pants found for me. Gene Colan artwork.
Oof.
Inked by Tom Palmer. But McGregor, again, this is the sophistication of Don McGregor as a writer. He really explores the politics, the dynamics of apartheid, and what happens if T'Challa finds himself in that world. And he's trying to find his birth mother, who – I'm sorry, not his birth mother, his adopted mother, who was kidnapped by a South African politician. The writing is so sophisticated, so nuanced. You can tell McGregor really did a lot of homework and reading about the South Africa of the 1980s and the history of that whole period. I think it's a masterpiece.
Yep.
I can't recommend this story enough. That's within this archive, this masterwork, I should say.
They also have an Epic collection, which has Black Panther in it as well, which also has Marvel Comics Presents 13 through 37 and 148, Solo Avengers, Marvel Superheroes, Marvel Fanfare, Fantastic Four Unlimited.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, that one has pretty much all of Black Panther's various appearances in the 80s, if I correctly. And I think it also publishes the other miniseries McGregor did.
Nice.
What page is that on, Ian?
That's on page 118. Yeah, it has Panther's Prey 1 through 4.
Okay. That's another miniseries he did, which is also wonderful.
Got it.
Again, the story McGregor started in Jungle Action, he continues in these next 2 miniseries.
Very cool.
So, speaking of Spidey, we should also point out, and again, page 116, from their Epic collection, The Goblin's Last Stand. Mm-hmm. So we just talked about a bunch of the collects, issues 105 through 123. And Murd, the first appearance of the Gibbon is there.
Primo Primate.
Yes.
Nice.
God, I love Murd. Ian, your heart's going to be palpitating when you look at page 117.
117. Getting to it. Let's see. Going back up. Here we are. Ooh, yes. Days of Future Past.
That one never gets old.
Oh, of course. And I mean, you can never have another cover for that. Like, every collection that they come out, it seems like they have a brand new cover. I think literally the only thing it could do is have Alex Ross do an homage cover. Like, that's the only way you could have a different cover for Days of Future Past.
Speaking of Conan, on page 120, so Marvel obviously is now reprinting the Dark Horse Conan stuff in Conan Chronicles, and Brian Wood did a magnificent run on the character earlier in the decade. He really explored, like, you know, Conan's relationship with Belit, how they meet. It's some of the most thrilling Conan I've read. I mean, I haven't read all Conan comics. I've read a good cross section over the years, and these are superb. Becky Cloonan, the art is breathtaking. All the artists that got in that series were tremendous, but they really explore Conan as a young character, as his coming of age, his early experiences, his love for the Pirate Queen. Art is beautiful. I mean, Conan always has this. There's also this terrible violence of Conan. There's also sometimes, like, you know, eroticism, all these different ingredients. And when the right artist is on a Conan book, you can't take your eyes off it. So, good stuff.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's it for me. What about you guys?
On page 123, we've got a collection of the complete run on The Scarlet Witch by James Robinson.
Yes.
Oh, Murd,
Yep.
Well done.
That ran for 15 issues. I didn't know it lasted
I
that
didn't
long.
Yeah.
Yeah, had some of the, had
Yeah,
some
yeah,
gorgeous
Robinson,
covers too while it was around.
Go ahead,
Murd,
Chris.
you might shout out a few things because I have to hit the hay soon because I have a long day of hybrid teaching ahead of me tomorrow,
Not a problem.
which is sure you was immensely fun. I wanted to point out, damn it, I saved the page and then Shane, give me some of your power. Okay, I got it. Okay.
Boom, boom, boom.
Excellent. Page again, Conan theme again. Page 202 from the publisher of Blaze. The Cimmerian, the Frost Giant's daughter. So they're doing a new adaptation of that classic Robert E. Howard story. Artwork is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Robin Recht. I'm not familiar with this artist, but and he or she, forgive me, I don't know the gender that the creator, but is writing as well. Beautiful artwork. This is a classic Conan story. I might pick this up. You got me on the Conan tangent this time around. I also wanted to point out, I mention this every time it appears because I think it's one of the greatest comics that have come out in the past 20 years. On page 261 from Drawn and Quarterly, they're re-releasing in complete format the Jason Lutz Berlin, which I just finished reading. I got the hardcover from my library. Again, your local library is often the place to go for graphic novels.
It's true.
And this is Lutz spent, I think this is like a 20-year project. Yeah, it says for 20 years. It's his take on Weimar Germany, the republic that struggled to keep itself together in the lead up to the rise of the Nazis and Hitler. And he follows different characters who are swept up in the political turmoil and upheaval of the Weimar era. This is one of the greatest comics, to be hyperbolic, I've ever read. Not just because his command of the history and the detail is so on the money, but just the way he takes all these characters and weaves these arcs for them through these very tumultuous historical events. It is gripping comics. It is the medium at its pinnacle. I can't recommend this series. It doesn't matter if you're not into the history of the period. It's a great story. It helps to know a lot of because if you know a lot of the history, then you can appreciate a lot of the details he puts in. But even if you don't be dismayed. Like, don't be discouraged. Get it. It's an incredible achievement in comic book storytelling. Last thing I wanted to point out on page 321, because I always have to mention Tomorrow's. One of the all-time great indie comic characters and creators right on the front cover. Issue 125, Matt Wagner, Mage, and Grendel. They're going to look at the evolution of creator-owned comics and in-depth histories of Wagner's Mage and Grendel. Also look at Distant Soil, Usagi Yojimbo, there it is again. Sam and Max, Boris the Bear, Cherry Pop-Tart. That's an issue I'll be picking up for sure. So have you guys read Grendel?
No, I have not. Just a couple specials here and there.
Yeah, same here. A couple of miniseries, crossovers with other characters, etc.
Sure. Shane, you've read the Grendel Shadow stuff?
No, actually, I think it was Grendel Batman something back in the day.
Yeah.
Yep. This is a series that from beginning, because it's always been Wagner, so from the beginning through whatever stuff he releases lately, I've never been disappointed. Mage the same. Matt Wagner for me is one of the all-time great creators. Always, a creator is always in charge of his work, and you see that come through in every page that he's done. A creator I admire very deeply. So I'm glad Back Issue is going to give him some attention.
Sure.
All right, comrades in arms, I apologize that I have to depart, but duty.
Duty calls.
Yep.
Yes, it does.
Got to do your duty even when it's shitty.
See, Ian, I was going to make a crack about how the word could be used in a different context, but I thought, you know what? The greatest Bullish spell meeting for an alternate reality is here with us tonight.
Tip your waitress.
I'm going to just get on the conga line and sit in the gazebo, and
Ba, 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 ba.
there goes Patrick Crazy walking by,
Oh, yeah.
and Ian's there leading us from the front of the stage. Thanks, man.
My pleasure.
I go to bed now with a little spring in my step. I feel reassured there's some continuity in life.
Have a good night, sir, and we'll catch you next time.
I'll email you soon. I have an idea for something I want to run past you, so I'll hear from you all.
Absolutely,
Good night, brothers.
and eventually we're gonna have to do your more in-depth one that we've been having on the back burner for a while.
That is coming. Once the studio is within our grasp, that will happen.
Heck yeah.
All right, brothers, have a good night. I'll talk to you soon.
You too.
Good night.
Take care.
Good night, sweet prince.
Thanks, honey.
All right, gentlemen, let's jump back over to the main previews. I will say in advance I have absolutely nothing in Dynamite, but if any of you guys do, be my guest.
Oh, no, they're suckering me in this month, Ian.
Go ahead.
Going straight to page 144. This is appearing on the front cover of this issue of previews, actually. Vampirella: The Dark Powers, #1. It is a miniseries crossing over Vampirella with the public domain Golden Age superheroes of Project Superpowers. It's written by Dan Abnett. The art is by one Paul Davidson. And it's Vampirella being recruited by a kind of a multiversal team of superheroes to fight some great threat. And it answers the question, what happens when you ask a vampire to help save the universe?
I don't know
Sounds
if
like
I
a
ever...
good book.
Yeah,
I have to say, it piques my interest as well.
I mean, you had me at Multiverse Vampire, so I guess we'll have to see what that's actually like.
Well, Dan Abnett couldn't hurt either, right?
Oh,
Right,
sure.
right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you know what? Next month they're doing the very same thing with Red Sonja.
Oh, wow.
So they're probably going to hook me in with that, too.
Nice. Shane, you got anything in Dynamite?
No, myself. That was the only one that I wanted to spotlight on.
All right, well then, over to Boom Boom Boom. And Boom begins with a boom, as on page 174. Gather around as we tell the final tale of Lumberjanes. Lumberjanes End of Summer #1. The long-running Lumberjanes saga concludes here, at least for now, until they, unless they decide to bring it back. But we have Shannon Waters and Kat Lay, illustrated by Brooklyn Allen and Kanisha Bryant, as we tell the final tale of the summer for the Lumberjanes crew. But their story is not over in one way or another, as it was announced this week that a Lumberjanes animated series will be coming to HBO Max.
That is a big deal.
Nice.
Yes, it is, and I'm looking forward to it immensely. And you know what else is a big deal? Jim Henson's Labyrinth.
Yeah, I was coming to that.
It reminds me of The Babe, and it's on page 180.
The babe with the power of voodoo, hoodoo, you do.
Yes, before we break into the magic dance here, just... it seems this story is actually set during the events of the Labyrinth film. One of the ladies at the masquerade ball, and the effect that the main character shattering that dream mirror has on her.
Is it just a one shot though?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, which says to
Somewhat
me
even better.
there might. I'm almost guaranteeing there'll be some sort of sequel series to follow. But,
Sure.
But for now, we get one shot of $8 of comic book here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 40 pages, $8. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the main
That's a
reason I
hard
didn't mark this one as a buy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's discounted in places that discount comic books, but still.
Yeah, but still.
$8. Yeah. Very pretty cover, though.
Oh, absolutely.
How about an original graphic novel softcover as part of the Kaboom line on 182 for kids, Joe and Russ. It looks adorable, and it's written by Audra Winslow. It's a new middle-grade graphic novel perfect for fans of Lumberjanes and stargazing about two unlikely best friends who learn to roll with the punches when life doesn't go their way. And art looks cool, and it's for everybody, so immediately it gets my vote. I was going to say, you're later in the previews when we start hearing the pages flip.
Yeah.
All right, I'm on to the rest of the book.
Me too. For anyone who did not read it, and I'm one of them, I kind of read some of these out of order, but I have all the issues, and they're near the top of my read pile. On 207, Abstract Studios has omnibus and trades of Motor Girl.
Nice.
But I've kind of read the later collections of Terry Moore's work a little bit out of order.
Well, speaking of Aftershock, 'tis the season on page 212. Knock 'em Dead #1. The cover for that one alone has me in. The Andy Clark cover there of sometimes you kill, sometimes you get killed, but no matter what, everyone dies the first time they go on stage. Yeah, it looks like a situation of a comedian who takes the plunge unexpectedly, and he's mind you, his name is Pryor Bryce, which I'm sure has to be a reference to Richard Pryor. And yeah, I'm just loving the premise here.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it's going to be a creep show approach to the world of stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. Looking at the interior pages on the next page, yeah, they're definitely doing a send-up. It kind of looks like Mark Maron meets Richard Pryor, actually.
A little further ahead under Ahoy Comics on page 224, we have another Second Coming miniseries coming out from the team of Mark Russell, Richard Pace, and Leonard Kirk. Looks like this one's going to focus a little bit more on the Superman analog, Sunstar. So a little more Superman parody, a little less Jesus parody, which is fine.
It is indeed fine. And not the dog holding the cup of coffee in the fire. This is fine. No, it's just fine.
Yeah. See, I've got a special shout out for one Peter Rios here. Peter, if you happen to be listening, on page 231 under Antarctic Press, which is celebrating its 35th anniversary this year. Hooray.
Wow.
Ninja High School Indie Wars trade paperback has got a Crisis on Infinite Earths #1 homage cover. So you have to buy it. I'm poking fun at Peter's obsessive-compulsive nature. He sees a crisis encomium, he just has to jump on it.
Yep, he's got a DC comic to buy this month, and he's got that one to buy.
Yeah. I don't have anything that holds me like that. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, of course not. Of course not. How many volumes of Justice League do you own? How many?
Too many. I think I found, because my son was asking for something to read, and I suggested that again. I mean, I've suggested it many times to him, but I found a volume to give him, and then I realized that it's the third trade paperback volume I have of that now. So I'm like, okay, I remember buying one when it first came out and one in more recent years. I don't know where this third one came from.
It fell off a truck.
I'm sure it was at a con when I saw it in a $5 bin or something. It had to be.
I guarantee it, yeah. I've got on page 246 out of AWA Studios. Kind of sounds like a wrestling organization, but instead it's comics.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. We've got Erratic #1, written by and illustrated by the one and only Kari Andrews. Good to see a new book out of Kari Andrews, and you're 15 years old. You're suddenly granted incredible powers. There's only one problem. You can only use your powers for 10 minutes at a time. What do you do when you have to save the world, but you only have 10 minutes to do it? So it's taking the premise of Our Man and making it even less time.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
And it's only a 5-issue miniseries, so minimum commitment. Yeah, I think I may try that. Thanks for pointing that out, Ian.
Yeah, absolutely. It does look pretty cool. Almost like I don't know, kind of has like a Spider-Man vibe on the cover. But I just love the idea of the premise of short amount of powers.
Yeah. You know, on the opposite page, we got something new from Cullen Bunn. It's called Bite-Sized, B-Y-T-E. And it's about a couple of young siblings who receive some interesting, like science fictional strength toy robots as Christmas presents, and the hilarity that ensues.
Wow. Go figure. I like the look of the premise, and Nelson Blake II is on illustrations.
Yeah.
I kind of see batteries not included.
That's exactly what I was about to say, Shane. And I knew you'd agree with me if I had.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
Shane, I have not thought of batteries not included in quite some time. Thank you.
I saw that in the theater.
Nice.
I did not see that in the theater, but I did watch it on HBO.
I think I watched it on VHS with my parents, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Possibly from the not Blockbuster Video we used to get stuff from. There was just a little video store on Coney Island Avenue we used to get our stuff from.
And I'm remiss in remembering what year that came out.
It says here it's 1987.
Okay.
So if it's 87,
Yeah, released December 18th, 1987. I probably went to see it on January 1st of 88 for my 9th birthday.
Yes.
I'm wondering if I saw that on HBO with probably Short Circuit or Short Circuit 2, maybe something around there.
Bringing it back, if I did see it on HBO, it was because I may have even mentioned this on the show before, but I'll mention it again. Back in the day, before we had cable, we had HBO through an AB switch on our TV.
Oh wow!
Where if you turn to channel 3 and you hit the AB switch, you would get HBO.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know. I have no idea if it was legal or whether it was just, a way of getting HBO. To this day, I don't know, but I don't care because it let me watch Babar as a kid.
Wow.
Yeah. Talk about old, antiquated technology.
Yeah. I've never heard of being able to do that with a Navy switch. Whew.
Yep. Yeah. Also on that very page, by the way, at Bite-Sized, it completely depends on whether or not you're in the mood at this point. I probably will not be for a while, but there is a COVID Chronicles comic book being put out by AWA, written by Ethan Sachs, illustrated by Delbor Talajic. And it's in partnership with NBC News, telling the stories of some COVID-19 survivors. Again, I'm not there yet myself. We're still in it. But if you do want to read a little bit about COVID and the survivors, then this might be a comic for you. Really, I'm just impressed with the output of AWA because they're definitely new on the scene and they seem to be getting some really good creators.
Yes, indeed. On page 250, I mean, I'm no kind of Whovian myself, but this sounds interesting even to me. Doctor Who: The Monster Vault hardcover. Doctor Who's biggest and most comprehensive monster guide yet.
I want to say this is a new version of this. I think there was a Monster Vault out maybe after David Tennant was on, or maybe around there, because they had a whole slew of reference material for Doctor Who coming out with the anniversary of when Matt Smith was the Doctor.
Right.
And I want to say that this might be an updated version of that.
It's possible. Would not surprise me, as there's a lot of monsters in Doctor Whoville. I think I just made an accidental crossover there by saying Doctor Whoville.
Yeah.
While you check that out, on page 260, this is just a really good month for Star Wars stuff because Disney Lucasfilm Press, still surprised that that's a separate thing from Marvel or any of the other Disney comics, but it is what it is. Star Wars Freefall hardcover by Alex Segura, and learn about the dashing hero from the Star Wars films, a story hinted at in Rise of Skywalker. It's the story of Poe Dameron, and it's it's a prose book, so you're just getting words on paper here. But Alex Segura, of many a comic book I've enjoyed over the years, got to write himself a Star Wars novel. So good for him.
There are a couple Doctor Who books called The Secret Lives of Monsters, Dangerous Book of Monsters. So maybe this is just completely new, and I'm just misremembering.
It is certainly possible. 268. Fantagraphics has "Please Don't Step on My Jinko Jeans," which I really had to mention just for the name alone. But it's by Noah Van Sciver of that Van Sciver. But this one I may be more willing to read a comic book from. I'll just leave it at that. But it looks like a nice fun collection of one-page strips, and it's now out from Fantagraphics.
Pondering questions like, when do you know you're too old to trick or treat? What is the best way to dispose of those embarrassing old teenage journals? And where do cherished cereal box prizes go when you grow up? That one kind of set me wondering.
Yeah. I when I was cleaning out my mom's place not too long ago, I did find the box of Krusty O's I bought when they did that Quickie Mart promotion, when they turned 7-Eleven into the Quickie Mart for the Simpsons movie.
Wow.
Yeah, I never opened it, but I wound up throwing it out, I think, because I doubt it was good inside anymore, and it was kind of starting to skeeve me out.
Well, although it's sugar, so it may not have decayed very much.
Fair, yeah, good point.
Looks like Heavy Metal's got a few interesting projects in the works for this month. One I'm looking at is on page 276. For those of you who are fans of Bart Sears and his artwork, he's got something called Maiden, an 8-issue miniseries coming out through Heavy Metal, and it's him. It's co-written by him with Michelle Sears. I don't know if that's his wife or his daughter or what, but co-written by the two of them with art by Bart Sears. And he's trying his hand at horror supernatural action as opposed to cosmic action. It's a tale of vengeance and redemption and willowy, pale-skinned young women with swords.
Did
On
you
the page facing that, coming up from Hermes Press, a hardcover collection of old Roy Rogers comics with artwork exclusively by John Buscema Sr. and Alex Toth.
Wow.
It's handpicked by Roy's son, Roy Dusty Rogers Jr.
Oh, boy.
And, if my father were the kind of guy who ever read anything, this is the sort of thing I'd consider giving him as a Christmas present.
Oh, my God. Absolutely. Murd, on the page you mentioned Maiden, right across from it on 276, I was wondering if Tarna caught your eye, with art by Patrick Zerker. I did see the words specifically in a new series of cosmic mystery and battles throughout the multiverse in her war against Keiko, the embodiment of chaos.
Yeah, 6-issue miniseries, and I am reading the Cable and Deadpool series with Zercher's artwork in it right now.
Nice.
Yes. Timing seems right.
Love that Cable Deadpool series. So much fun.
It really is.
Yeah. Okay. It's a featured item on page 283. The Adoption. It's written by Zidro, illustrated by Arno Monin. And this was the winner of the prestigious BDFNAC prize in 2018, and presented here in hardcover form. It's about a young couple's lives that are changed when they adopt an orphaned 4-year-old girl. But no one is more inconvenienced by the addition than Gabriel, who has to put his retirement aside to suddenly become a grandfather. Easier said than done. Does look very pretty, and I'm sure heartwarming.
It's reminding me of some current comic strips.
Indeed. Page 286. This may interest both of you, to be honest. The Disney Brothers, The Fabulous Story of Walt and Roy. A graphic novel by Alex Nikolavich and art by Felix Ruiz. All about post-bankruptcy Disney Brothers starting up the Disney Brothers Cartoon Studios and the trials and tribulations behind getting that done.
I do like the art style. It reminds me of Paul Coker Jr. of Rankin Bass. The characters of the Disney, they remind me of Jimmy Durante from Frosty the Snowman.
Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha.
I guess it all started with the snow.
There's a YouTube channel that I watch called Defunctland that just had a full 45-minute video on the history and never realized reality of Epcot as a city, and they go through the whole process of Walt near the end of his life trying to make that a reality and how it all fizzled on the vine in the end. Very Citizen Kane-esque the way they present it. 287. I immediately thought of you fellas just for the International Podcast Day image I posted on the main Comic Geek Speak Facebook page of crossing the street. This is the Beatles in comics, the rock and roll set. All about the Beatles. The Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and Bob Marley are all collected here in one priced binded set. So all three of them, the histories of them.
Speaking of or thinking of Christmas and snow and stuff, back when we were talking DC and that winter series, all I could see is a meme coming out of, oh God, what's his name? The ice villain from that Rankin and Bass cartoon.
Jack Frost?
Jack Frost coming across, or somebody coming over saying, he's Mr. Ice Christmas.
Oh, Snow Miser. That's what
Snow Miser. Snow Miser.
Yes, I was thinking of Frosty's Winter Wonderland. Yeah, Jack Frost was the bad guy in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Snow Miser, voiced by one Dick Shawn.
That's the god that comes through to terrorize the DC universe.
As long as he does his little song and dance.
That's right. That's right.
Accompanied by smaller versions of himself.
I got on page 313, the Star Wars Archives, episode 4 through 6. The 1977 and 1983 hardcover 40th anniversary edition. That is some primo stuff right there.
Yeah. And only $25.
Yeah, no, good price for it.
Script pages, production documents, concept art, storyboards, on-set photography, stills, and posters.
Love it.
The authoritative exploration of the original saga as told by its creator.
Yep.
Sounds pretty authentic.
We'll probably find some illustrations in that that led to our the Star Wars book of the month included in there.
Sure.
Yep. Did Chris mention the Jack Kirby Epic Life of King of Comics?
I don't think so.
Okay. If he'd stuck around, I almost guarantee you he would have. Because that's on the same page.
I'm sure.
313, Tom Scioli going into the entire life of Kirby. I mean, that's well worth it in and of itself. And I kind of love the loving image of Jack Kirby on that cover.
Oh, yes. You can be sure this will be a very reverent biography.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yes, just knowing what Tom Scioli thinks of the king.
Oh, yeah. And still looking forward to Zach Crucey's thinking of creators and loving appreciation of them. Looking forward to Crucey's book coming out soon about another Marvel creator.
Mm-hmm. Yep, watch this space. We will remind you all of it as soon as it's offered.
Yes, indeed.
I'll tell you, that's about all I had for the book. I keep looking through. I wanted to check through the manga sections to make sure I wasn't missing something kitschy or something Star Wars or space Starship Yamato, Space Battleship Yamato. Geez, I'm all tied up now. But yeah, there's just nothing. The only thing that may interest me, and I might order it just for my oldest boy. Page 367. I know I'm way in the back.
That's fine.
Viz has the Super Mario Manga Mania comics. I think it's for the first time in the U.S.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
I think he might get a kick out of that.
Sure, yeah. I was just watching a thing on all the different versions of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show that exist in the world, and how I think Korea actually cut together their own live action segments to replace the Lou Albano with Korean actors.
Oh wow!
Super Mario Brothers Super Show. One of the many things that will always be stuck in my brain.
Oh, sure.
Well, now I'm in manga, and I am going to find myself some first volumes like usual.
Well, while you dig those up, let me shout out one more thing from the non-Japanese part of the book.
Sure.
Page 330, I like to take a look at the vault section. They come up with some interesting concepts from time to time. And they're leading with something called the picture of everything else, as opposed to the picture of Dorian Gray. You Oscar Wilde fans out there, and I know you listen by the legion to this comic book podcast, those of you who love Oscar Wilde. It's written by a guy named Dan Waters, art by Kishore Mohan, and it's basically about the mysterious artist who painted the picture of Dorian Gray, coming back and starting to paint pictures of a variety of other people and things, and the dark, gruesome, and horrifying consequences of his doing so. So it's taking the basic idea of Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray and letting it bleed out into the rest of the world. So, good horror concept there. All right, Ian, what have you found?
All right, I've gone on page 359, just because it's weird. Tarot Cafe, the collector's edition. Collects all 3 volumes of Tarot Cafe. Meet Pamela, a tarot card reader who helps supernatural beings living in the human world. She'll help anyone, whether they're a love-stricken cat, a vampire spending eternal life running from his one true love, an unattractive waitress looking for the man of her dreams, or even a magician who creates a humanoid doll to serve the woman he loves. Although she is good-natured, there's a deep, dark secret, of course there is, that she must deal with before she can move on to the next life. That's some heady stuff right there. and on this very same page, there's also Grimm's Manga Tales. This has a creative spin on Red Riding Hood, Rapunzel, Hansel and Gretel, the 2 brothers, and the 12 huntsmen. It retells these tales, but with a twist. And it's by Kei Ishiyama, both writing and drawing. And I dig the cover, and it's a one-shot, so it's just, complete. That's it. And that's all on page 359. Look at me calling out Tokyo Pop titles. Go figure. All right, let me see what else we got here. I see the Super Mario manga that was just mentioned. Let's see. It's a weird month where there aren't a lot of first volume manga.
Yeah.
That's weird. Usually by now I'm like something's jumping and calling out at me, and it really hasn't yet. Here we go. Talk about something I didn't even know existed, and now that I do, I'm going to have to find the anime. On page 373, Carol and Tuesday, based on the anime directed by Shinichiro Watanabe of Cowboy Bebop, one of the best damn anime of all time, Samurai Champloo, one of the best damn anime of all time, and Kids on the Slope, which I have not checked out. It's all about 2 girls from different worlds connecting through a love of music and a desire to make it big on Mars.
So literally 2 different worlds.
Indeed. Yep. So I am writing this down because if this is available online anywhere, I have an anime to watch immediately.
Now streaming on Netflix.
Well, there you go. Hey, okay. All right.
Now a hit anime streaming on Netflix.
Done and done. That is immediately getting added to my list. That just made me happy. think I'll fit that in right when I'm done watching High Score Girl on Netflix. That's gonna be my next anime. Let's see. I think that might actually be it. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and shoot my bolt. No, you know what? One more. Never mind. Happens every time. One more. 378 because it's adorable and it has to be called out. Baby Bear's Bakery Volume 1. It's literally called Baby Bear's Bakery. Come on.
That is pretty irresistible.
Yeah, come on. It's a brand new patisserie run by a bear cub. I mean, come on. Could you be more of a manga? Sounded very Chandler there, but it's true.
Could you be any more manga?
All right. Now I'm calling my bolt. Murd, are you shot?
Yeah, I believe I am. Yeah, I'm not even going to venture into the merch section.
Oh no, please! That would take forever, and our pockets would not benefit from it.
No, they wouldn't.
Fantastic. Alrighty, yet another wonderful previews catalog put to bed.
Yep. Soon to be followed by the guys who recorded it.
Yep, but first I'm watching Star Trek Discovery because that'll go ahead and time when this episode was recorded, even though we're releasing it a few days later. Today, the first episode of Star Trek Discovery Season 3 came out, and I'm not going to bed before I watch it.
Yeah, let me know what you think.
Oh, I definitely will, and I'll 100% bring it up on the next Comic Talk.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Alrighty. So our usual thank you to anybody who has been donating to the show. It's been keeping the lights on for a while now, and we know that it's a weird time out there for everybody. But anybody who even throws a buck our way, it matters in the end. And we really do appreciate it. And we do this out of love. And if you guys give us $1, that's great. If you don't, we still love you anyway.
That's right.
ComicGeekSpeak.com/donate.php if you have the cheddar, and if you don't, give us some Swiss. All right, over to you, Shane.
All right. Visit us at ComicGeekSpeak.com to send an email. The address is ComicGeekSpeak@gmail.com. To leave a voicemail, the number is 267-702-6642. Stop by thecomicforums.vanillacommunity.com and let us know what you're picking out of previews. Follow us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. Thanks again to everyone who contributes to the show. We could not do it without you, and we really do appreciate it. And as always, we are uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.